Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. So guys, I'm back again with another video. Again, this succulent belongs to the genus of Crassula, and the succulent that we're talking about today is called Gollum Jade, also commonly known as Shrek ears, ogre fingers, hobbit, etc, etc. But the scientific name of the succulent is called as Crassula ovata Gollum. Now the interesting fact about this succulent is that this succulent is not a species, not a hybrid, but it is a cultivar. So basically what happened is when they were cultivating Crassula ovata, the one that I just recently made a video on, so they were trying to cultivate Crassula ovata. Now during that period of time, what happened is there was a mutation that occurred due to which the leaves of the Crassula ovata started to turn like this. So this was a small little mutation that happened, due to which the leaves were completely different from Crassula ovata. So next thing what they did is they might have probably done a leaf propagation or a stem cutting, and when they did that, the new leaves also happened to have the same mutation like the one that you're seeing over here. So they basically did a stem cutting, and the next batch or the next plant growth also turned out to be in the same way. So then it was categorized as Gollum Jade, because whenever such mutation occurs in nature, they always tend to propagate and check. If the mutation continues, then they tend to categorize it as a different variety of succulent. So that's what exactly happened with Gollum Jade as well. Now talking about repotting, Gollum Jade does not require a regular repotting, maybe once in a year or once in 2 years. That's more than enough. Whenever you feel that the plant is getting a root bound, you can go ahead and transfer it to the next big size. Now guys, the same thing occurs with Gollum Jade as well. What we spoke about Crassula ovata, the same thing happens as and when the plant starts to mature, the stem will start to turn really thick and it tends to turn into a bonsai kind of a plant, because again, as I said, it was a mutation of Crassula ovata, so it is going to have the similar kind of features. Just that the difference is the leaf texture. The leaves are quite different, but the stem and the growth, everything remains the same. So here I have taken a smaller pot. I think probably this will be 3 inches in depth. I'm not quite sure, but this would be good enough for them. And later on, I will top it up with a little bit of more soil, because again, as I said, I want the stem to be slightly more thicker. That is the reason why I'm putting it in a smaller pot. And as and when it starts to grow, I will then move it on to a slightly bigger pot. But as of now, it would be sitting in this pot. Now guys, again, the same thing remains the same. That is the pot material. You can either use a plastic pot or a terracotta pot. I would suggest you can go with a plastic pot, because Gollum Jade tends to like slight moisture in the soil. Please do not let the soil dry out completely, otherwise the plant will start to get a lot of wrinkles. That is one indication that your Gollum Jade needs water. And what I have noticed over the years is that they are quite thirsty kind of succulents. They tend to get wrinkles very soon if you do not water them, so you need to keep that slight moisture in the soil. Another important thing, guys, Gollum Jade tends to get affected with root rot easily, especially because it requires slight moisture in the soil, and at times we tend to overwater it. So if there are some issues with the root, then even when you water, the wrinkles on the leaves will not go off. So if you tend to see that the wrinkles are still being maintained on the succulent for a longer period of time, even after watering, the succulent is not getting hydrated, then it is definitely something wrong with the root. So you'll have to immediately check the roots. Now the same formula applies whenever you know that there is a root rot. You have to immediately cut that part off. But otherwise, guys, this succulent is a quite hardy succulent, one of the favorite succulent for a lot of beginners. I always recommend this succulent because this succulent will also do quite well in a slight humid kind of conditions, because as I said, they like slight moisture in the soil. So again, guys, just because it tends to like slight moisture in the soil, that does not mean that you're going to keep the soil soggy wet. Otherwise you will end up with root rot. The best way, if you're a beginner and you don't know when to water, the best way to check is wait until you start seeing slight amount of wrinkles on the Gollum Jade leaves. The moment you start seeing wrinkles, you can go ahead and do a complete watering. Now talking about the light requirement, guys, Gollum Jade tends to prefer a lot of indirect bright light. Even if you're providing them with indirect light, ensure that the light is really bright. Now you can even provide them with morning direct sunlight for at least 4 hours. If you're going to give them morning direct sunlight, then they will start getting a reddish tint and a reddish color on the tips of the Gollum Jade leaves. But guys, if you start noticing that your Gollum Jade is getting burnt, then probably you have not acclimated it correctly. So you'll have to move it into indirect bright light. So if you notice that your Gollum Jade is getting dehydrated really fast and it is kept in direct morning sunlight, then immediately move it to indirect bright light. Now guys, please do not expose your Gollum Jade to afternoon direct sunlight. Afternoon direct sunlight is very strong and it will burn your Gollum Jade leaves. Now talking about pest issues, Gollum Jade does not usually get affected with mealybugs, but it again depends from environment to environment. Now I have been keeping Gollum Jade for almost 3 years now, but I've never had any issues with mealybugs. But yes, at times the Gollum Jade tends to develop a white powdery mold on the leaves. It's very easy. What you can do is just take a Q-tip or a earbud, dip it in rubbing alcohol or hand sanitizer and just clean the affected part. Please do not spray neem oil or any oil kind of a fungicide on the leaves. It will harm your jade golem, so just be very careful. And as a matter of precaution, what you can do is you can sprinkle some cinnamon powder on the soil once in 3 weeks or maybe once a month, and that is also going to be working out really well for your plant. Now talking about propagation, it's very simple to propagate Gollum Jade. Unlike Crassula ovata, as you know that it's very difficult to propagate it with leaf because it's very difficult to pluck the leaf out, but this is very easy. You just twist and turn and the leaf will get separated from the mother plant. Now guys, again I say if you're a beginner, I would always suggest go with a stem cutting. That is going to be much faster. When I did a leaf propagation a couple of years back, it took a really long time. It took around 3 months for the leaf to put out a pup. So the leaf propagation is going to take a really long time, and then after that the pup comes out. The growth rate is even more slow because in general Crassula ovata, or even for that matter Gollum Jade, both are very slow growing plants because they have this thick stem that resembles a lot like bonsai. You know how long it takes for a bonsai plant to grow. So even these guys have the same growing pattern. But guys, again, it depends from environment to environment. For some people, Crassula ovata, Gollum Jade tends to grow a little faster as compared to other people. For me, it takes a slight amount of time. So again, whenever you're going to do a stem cutting as well, let the stem cutting get calloused and then you can either air root it or directly put it into the soil. Again guys, there is no time frame for the roots to appear on the stem. It takes its own time. Again, depends upon your environment and your climate. The production of roots will depend on that. As you can see over here, I have a lot of new growth happening. Now I think that's because the temperatures have started to drop. The temperature is much cooler right now. So that brings us to another topic, because this belongs to the genus of Crassula. So they tend to go dormant during the summers and the active growing period is during the winters. So if you want to add any fertilizers, you can add it during the winter period. But guys, again, remember this is a succulent. It does not like getting over fertilized. So you can use fertilizers maybe once a month or maybe once in 2 months because they are not heavy feeders. So in my last video, Sonia had a question related with Crassula ovata. She does not have much branches on her Crassula ovata, so she was asking whether she can cut it and will that promote more branches. Now I'm not quite sure. I would advise just leave it as it is. It will start putting out branches when it gets mature. As you can see on the left hand side, my Crassula ovata has started to put out a new branch. But when I purchased my Crassula ovata, it already had 2 to 3 branches. So it's not that it's grown after I got it, but it was already present when I purchased it. So as of now, I would advise just hold on to it. Do not cut your Crassula ovata. I have already done a cutting in my video. I will give you an update and I will let you know how the growth has been doing. And very soon we will be entering into the winter season, which is their active growing period for Crassula. So probably by then it will start putting out new stems. So I'll give you an update, so accordingly you can take a step. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep propagating.